Gladiator Supreme One-Shot, which was published in 1997, presents an epic fight between two powerhouses who are clearly inspired by Superman. Written by Keith Giffen and penciled by Ed Benz, the events take place on Earth 7642, the reality where Marvel and DC characters coexist with one another. It also includes characters from other franchises. The book opens in space, with Gladiator checking a destroyed spacecraft that belongs to the Shi'ar Empire. The entire craft has been destroyed, but the devastation was not caused by a heavy armory. The guards were badly beaten and left to die, but there are no signs of armed conflict. The distress beacon specified a single attacker, and that would put the attacker's power level equal, or even greater than Gladiator's. All of the blast signatures are from Shi'ar weaponry, and this means that the attacker came unarmed. Gladiator takes the security monitor record, where he can find answers, and goes back to the Shi'ar dreadnought Calandria II, where the monitor reveals that the attacker is a Terran, who seems to be nearly invulnerable. Although the Shi'ar could not identify the attacker, they have reached the conclusion that he is either the orphan from the stars, who was raised by the Terrans as one of their own, referring to Superman, or he could be the one known as Supreme. Gladiator vows to avenge the death of the Shi'ar guards who were killed by Supreme, but the shiplord informs him that Supreme landed on planet Danuvi 7, which is of great strategic importance for the Shi'ar. Therefore, Gladiator must avoid destroying the planet when he clashes with Supreme. Meanwhile, on planet Danuvi 7, Supreme feels this world is close to Eden, but even Eden harbored a serpent. He uses his telescopic vision and finds out that the inhabitants of this world are primitive and seem to be free from the instincts that define life on many other worlds. He gets closer and lands among them, but they speak a language that he does not understand. He decides to go to a temple and passes by a child holding a figurine in his image. In the temple, Supreme is shocked to find his statue and considers this blasphemy. Enraged, Supreme tells the priests that they committed a horrible mistake by making him a god, and blasts one of them with his eye beams, killing him instantly. He goes on to brutally kill another priest, before ripping the statue and tossing it outside. Supreme destroys the whole temple and flies away, only to find Gladiator holding the kid who had Supreme's figurine. Gladiator tells Supreme that the people's god was a god of peace, but today Supreme made him into a murderer. Supreme does not feel any regret for killing the kid, and says that his death is meant to be addressing Gladiator as a false god and attacking him. Gladiator speaks the people's language and tells them to evacuate, while Supreme continues his rampage and pounds on Gladiator while quoting from the Bible. Gladiator kicks Supreme and rushes to help the innocents, but Supreme recovers in no time and attacks again, forcing Gladiator to fly away from the people, luring Supreme to follow him. Gladiator attacks Supreme after they get distanced enough, but Supreme knocks him away with a powerful punch that sends him crashing into the ground. Gladiator says that their powers are too equal, and a direct combat could endure for years, so his combat skills will prevail where brute force fails. They clash again, with Gladiator punching Supreme, who retaliates and punches Gladiator, before grabbing him from the neck. Supreme continues to quote from the Bible, but Gladiator tells him that he heard enough, before hitting him in the eyes. With his eyes glowing, Supreme tosses Gladiator, and tells him that he can't evade him forever, and that he will finish him, even if that means destroying the whole world. Gladiator realizes that he is fighting a madman, and says he will never allow the destruction of this planet, and decides to take the fight to space, where he tosses Supreme, before punching him and makes him bleed. The battle continues, until they both crash into the Shi'ar ship, where their rampage breaches the central power core. Gladiator then attacks Supreme, remarking that his world ends here, but Supreme, who is still quoting from the Bible, puts Gladiator in a bear hug and cracks his bones, forcing Gladiator to electrocute Supreme and himself, to get free from the mighty grip. Supreme recovers instantly, while Gladiator seemingly loses his consciousness. Supreme then checks Gladiator's pulse and finds that there is no life left in his body. Satisfied with his victory, Supreme leaves the Shi'ar ship. Later on, Gladiator explains to the ship lord that Supreme checked his pulse to make sure that he is dead, revealing that his heart does not beat like normal people, playing possum and fooling Supreme to believe that he killed him. Gladiator had to induce a trauma, great enough to appear fatal to Supreme, by expanding his oral field, convincing Supreme that he died from the jolt, as he had no other option. Otherwise, their fight would have destroyed worlds. Considering Gladiator's feats in the Marvel Universe, I feel that either he is downplayed in this book, or Supreme is just insanely powerful. It's worth mentioning that Gladiator knocked out Thor with one single punch, and also knocked Hyperion unconscious after breaking his back, among many other incredible feats, that easily rank him among the most powerful beings in Marvel. Let me know what you think about this book, and as usual, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Thanks for watching, and have a nice one.